Hi, this is Dad here. I want to do a video on a lesson that half of you have already learned and the other half of you are not going to want to hear. The lesson's most easily encapsulated in the saying, the only way to win the game is not to play. What that's referring to in this context is that you cannot win against a narcissist. I know that's going to be very frustrating to half of you, but if you listen to the other half and people like me, we've learned it the hard way. Narcissists, again, are, as you've noticed, very childish, stubborn people that act and go off, into the world and are very, base and simple as far as the way that they approach things. And one of them is that when you are in a conflict with a narcissist, they, I don't necessarily know the psychology behind it, but they must win. Or to put it better, you must lose. In their mind, you must lose. And you losing is more important than them winning, so to speak. I ran into this with both my ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend. With my ex-wife, I noticed it very early on, and for a long time until I had learned it the hard way through our communication. She is a malignant narcissist, so she thrives on conflict, so there is that aspect. But the tenacity and the single-mindedness was very conspicuous. So, for example, we might have a discussion having to do with, custody of the children. And I may propose a solution that would be a win-win. Like it would literally benefit her too. But the fact that I wasn't suffering as part of the solution made it unacceptable to her. I mean, she would have nothing to do with it. She was not looking for a solution where she would win. She was looking for a solution where I would lose. And so, just in personal interactions with her, if there was a subject of contention where we might be going back and forth, say via text or email, very quickly she would be sending me what I refer to as Russian novels, where I might say, like one or two sentences of, no, that doesn't work. Let's stay focused on the topic at hand. What about if we do this with the children as far as custody? And she would reply back with like 2,000 words and, just be using all the narcissist tricks, flip the script, try to, bring up stuff from the past that had nothing to do with the topic at hand, portray herself as the victim, and then a moment later project herself as, the hero, and just, everything. And it got to a point with just like the communication where I realized the only way to win was not to play the game. There was no way to deal with a narcissist using rational thought and simple business-like consideration. So approaching her with like a win-win situation one sentence, two sentences, it would blow up. I mean, she'd somehow turn that into this huge fight about, who knows what. That was like kind of the first time that I started noticing that pattern. But it also happened in her, in her like actual behavior too, where there was a situation around the divorce where she, by law, was required to be served papers. If you've been through a divorce, you know it. So I tried to do, the right thing, be a stand-up guy, and say, look, I'm serving you with papers. No surprise. We are getting a divorce. I don't want to make this more uncomfortable or difficult than it needs to be. You just give me a time and a place, and I will have the service, deliver the documents there and then. And she would reply back and give me a specific place and a specific time. And as you can guess, she was nowhere near that. I mean, for all I know, she was on a Tinder date. I mean, just gone. And so I would get, contacted by the company that would be serving papers, and I'd reach out to her, and she would, just not even try to defend herself. And I would say, okay, look, let's not play games. This is childish. Just give me a time and a place. And she would give me a second time and a place. No, nowhere in sight. I mean, again, like, I don't know. So finally, I gave up, and I had the papers served at work, because at that point it was like the only place that I knew where she would be in the time. And of course, she blew up, and it was a big conflict and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, like, no matter what, when you're trying to play nice, they will fight you and try to make things difficult for you, so that in their mind you lose. And then when you say, okay, we'll play by your rules, and you just interact with them at the same level that they interact with you, again, they're just get furious. And it's amazing. They act as if they're in shock that you would dare do something that they they themselves might have done the day before or the week before. Very narcissists very much have a double standard, basically, about anything, and give themselves a free pass for life. They can do anything they want, no consequences, no responsibility. So that was, a couple examples with my ex-wife that come to mind. One that, is based upon a situation with my ex-girlfriend. Again, this is based upon. This is not, literal detail by detail. This is based upon the situation, but it's a great example. So my ex-girlfriend, there was an incident where she owed me $200. Initially, she said, I'll pay you the $200. I said, okay. And then I sent a Venmo request. Nothing. I sent a reminder on the Venmo request. Nothing. I sent a text about the $200 that she owed me, and that she said she would pay me, for, and nothing. Her response was negative. I'll leave it at that. So I'm like, okay. Again, like with my ex-wife, it's like, you try to play nice, and if it doesn't work, I'm like, okay, so I'll go play it your way. And so I took her to court. Little thing, kind of, not not criminal court, very, very minor. So I'm like, okay, $200, whoop-de-doo. And she shows up with a lawyer, and a high-priced lawyer at that. And, for various reasons, I mean, having a high-priced lawyer helps. She won the case, or more to her point, I lost that particular case. And the thing that just blew my mind was that, doing the math, I am not off the mark saying that she spent at least $2,000 on various lawyer fees. And this is to fight me over a $200 charge. And again, that's not exactly what happened. The details and stuff are different. But I wanted to use that generality as a example, because it is a perfect example that how crazy the narcissist is, that they would rather spend $2,000 than give you the $200 that they owe and promised you. Again, like, who thinks like that? I mean, for me, even if like you were a sociopath or psychopath or something like that, or just a general evil person, you would be out for yourself. You'd go out into the world and be like, oh, I'm gonna get what I deserve, and I'm gonna get what I want, and stuff like that. So you would be focused on what benefits you. And the thing is, narcissists don't think like that. They're not focused in those circumstances on what benefits them. They're focused on what hurts you. And again, in talking to other people that have dealt with, narcissists, especially over long periods of time, we all reach the same conclusion. We all learned the hard way. The only way to win is not to play the game. And I know that for half of you, you already know that. And for the other half, that is the last thing you want to hear. But I'm telling you, you can either listen to our advice, or you can learn the hard way yourself. And I would hope that people would take notice from that lesson and do exactly what a rational person does, and say, okay, look, I'm going to do what is best for me in the long term, what's going to benefit me. I'm not going to drop to the narcissist level and put all this energy and money into fighting the narcissist. I mean, one, you're going to lose. And two, why? I mean, why just throw away that time and money literally on the narcissist when you could be out bettering yourself? I mean, go to like a nice restaurant, or go take a nice vacation. Focus on writing that novel you've been thinking about, or calling up some old friends that you haven't seen in a long time and going and having a beer. Focus on bettering yourself and doing something that's good for you, instead of just giving that energy to the narcissist. And the other thing is, like, again, like, kind of the second part of the insanity with a narcissist is not only that they would rather lose money, lose time, lose energy just to hurt you, but that they will spare no expense, and they have infinite amount of time and energy to try to hurt you and impact your life negatively. Again, I really, that's an aspect of the narcissist psychology I do not understand at all. Because even at a deep, deep level for like, just animals existing in the wild or something like that, that it's self-defeating. And that's the part that's so hard for me to wrap my head around. That said, why does a narcissist do those things? Because they're a narcissist. And so, again, I just want to do a video on, please fight the temptation to get into a conflict with the narcissist. Grayrock, if you have to interact with them, go no contact, if that's an option. But just, if the narcissist is lobbing their grenades, if at all possible, just turn your back and walk the other way, because ultimately the only way to win is not to play the game.